Multi-streaming with Restream.
Yay, Restream.
Perfect. Irving, are you going to post it on Discord and try to hit all those people there too?
I'm helping with that too at the moment, so.
So, Father Corey, I see that you are on. Can you hear, I guess, all of us?
Hey, Father Corey.
Checking, Father Corey.
Hello. May the 4th be with you all.
And with your spirit? Someone has to say. It's like,
right.
Of course.
Is he hearing it okay?
Check. Can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thomas, you can hear us?
I can hear you, yes. We're good to go.
Quick! No, first question. No.
A live stream, or is it Andrew at Disney?
I'll mute for a second.
Okay, yeah, that's
he's in a sea of people.
So that's for me.
Yeah, he's just
a lot of people here. Yeah,
a lot of people. He's in a crowd.
So I'll mute for now until start, and then you guys can reel me in.
Oh.
Okay.
The Force
We're talking
goes.
to Irving, and you
Force.
can't hear him. We have Force powers.
It took using the Force to solve this problem. See,
That's a good question. Can R2 see the Force ghosts of Yoda and Obi-Wan, or does he just think Luke's losing it on Dagobah?
He can see. Well, he could see Luke's
never
Force
thought of that
projection in The Last Jedi.
That's true.
That is true.
Huh. Interesting.
One is super. That's
Every time I watch, I'm like, how does that happen?
Oh my gosh. That's like the most in sort of universe canon example of like the real life thing of a little kid just trying so hard to use the Force. And when Luke does that, like in Star Wars, that's what happens.
Yeah.
I just can't stop looking at Andrew's screen there. That's like every time he turns around, I'm like...
So have you ever been to Galaxy's Edge, Mike?
No.
It is amazing.
I've seen a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and like the documentary they put out and all that, but yeah, someday.
My
it's
husband
like 90
told
miles
me,
that way, and
there you go.
Which is nothing, Thomas. I drive 90 miles and like
yes.
to get partway across the state of Wyoming.
There you go.
My wife is very seriously considering getting us tickets to the hotel.
oh my gosh. How much is that going to be? Wow.
That's
20,000
crazy
credits.
Crazy expensive.
Right. So what's going on, Andrew?
I was just saying it's like super packed right now because it's still like general admission people are still here. So like I'm curious to see what it's gonna look like when the park closes and it's just after dark tickets.
So cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping the lines and stuff will be, especially for like Rise of the Resistance, will be significantly shorter.
If I remember right, when I was there last time, like when it gets to be twilight, you get a lot of people leaving.
Oh yeah.
And actually at twilight and in the night when it's dark, it's really cool.
Well, I think I told you guys before. I have a friend who is. I have a friend who was basically saying he had a contact down there he could get some of the stuff from like Galaxy's Edge for like a reduced price. And I'm like, you have a smuggler? And he's like, yes, I have a. I was like, dude, this is like real Star Wars now, and maybe really illegal. I don't know, but like, I have to think about it now.
Cool. I think we're good to go. I mean, I guess watchers on YouTube, please let us know if there's issues and if you can hear us. In fact, that would be really helpful. But I think, I mean, I'm even seeing the stream. It looks like we're all there. Plus, Irving's studio. It looks like, but so just ignore that frame, and we should be good to go. So
sweet.
Yeah, we're gonna celebrate Star Wars Day by being a little bit late and having fun while we're doing it. So
sounds good.
I think, Andrew, I don't know if how long you're able to be on since you are at Galaxy's Edge. So I want to throw it to you first. Like, what brought you to Galaxy's Edge? Please show off the Millennium Falcon to our watchers, and just what's the experience of Galaxy's Edge?
Well, here is the Millennium Falcon.
So nuts.
That's probably cooler than anything I'm about to say. Yeah, so since it's Star Wars Day, Disneyland decided to do. They do this a few times a year and there are different themes, but for Star Wars Day, obviously they're doing a Star Wars After Dark. So basically, we get to come to the park 3 hours before they close, and then we get to stay after hours until 1 a.m. So we get to enjoy, all of Disneyland, not just Galaxy's Edge. Most of the rides will be open throughout the park, but there's gonna be a lot of Star Wars themed like events and meetups and photo opportunities and a lot of characters roaming around and stuff like that. And hopefully we don't have to wait in line as long as a normal day. I think that's part of the cool factor of this event. Is getting to sort of enjoy Galaxy's Edge without the longer wait times. But yeah, I mean, like I was telling you guys earlier before we went live, this is like our people. We're all here. Yeah, like everyone with a lightsaber, just naturally gravitated towards this area, getting their little photo ops. And this place when the sun goes down looks even cooler, especially with all the lightsabers lit up and everything. So, but yeah, I'm already waiting in a line. I'm in line to go to a gift shop. So that's what it's like right now. Because it's a mix of like the general. Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's like a mix of the general public and all the Star Wars peeps that just got in. So, it should settle down a little bit later. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be a fun night.
Besides the Millennium Falcon, what's another huge draw to Galaxy's Edge?
Oh wow! Well, Rise of the Resistance. I said this on our podcast, Father, when we talked about our experience here. Is probably the greatest theme park ride ever. I mean, not just for the fact that it's Star Wars themed. I mean, it's like there's no ride like it. It's fully immersive. You have like life-size sets. The technology, the animatronics, the blend of like practical and special effects it's out of this world. It's something that's hard to describe, and I can't wait to go on it again. So that's the real draw. That's the main attraction. That's always the ride that's hardest to get on and always has the longest line. But I'm very much looking forward to going back on that ride. And just this, Galaxy's Edge in general, just roaming around. I'm looking forward to going to the cantina. That I was not able to get into the cantina last time, so it'll be a first time for me. So I'm very much looking forward to that because everyone says it's like being in the movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a good time.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, you're welcome to join in as much as you can, of course, while you're waiting in line. But if you have to go, of course, you got to go to that gift shop and get a few things. So we'll understand if you have to cut out. As for the
Absolutely.
rest of us, we are going to get into just, so the biggest news, obviously, for this month is the Kenobi show that's coming. Most of the bigger news items aren't probably going to hit until Star Wars Celebration, which is at the end of the month. So there hasn't been a whole lot of things coming out yet that we're any official things coming out yet. Just the Kenobi show that's going to release later this month. So I know we all kind of wanted to talk about that. And Mike, I want to throw it to you first. What are you most excited about this show, and what do you hope to see?
Well, I just think it's such a really exciting time period within the canon. You know, we've been in this period before, in a way. I mean, like so with Rebels, of course, we're a little further down the timeline. And so this is neat, and I don't know about you guys, but this most recent trailer, I wasn't one of the people who really got too upset per se necessarily about the look of the Grand Inquisitor, as opposed to the animated version. I like the memes going around comparing, you know, because they did this with Cad Bane. You know, my favorite was the one comparing Christopher Lee and Dooku.
Right.
where they tried to morph Christopher Lee's real face into what it would look like if it matched the cartoon. I'm like, okay. Which was funny, but I thought something about just, you only see him briefly, right, in this trailer, this newest one. There's just something about that swagger, you know.
Yeah.
And Natalie Holt, I know in the article we might talk about that later, but I was so fascinated. She said something about, didn't give anything too much detail away, but basically said that in some of the instrumentation for the villains in this, they're going to use like a hunting kind of horn. You know, like that you blow into, you know, and I was just like, that is really cool. You know, that's at least as cool to me as the idea of using, you know, how much recorder got used in Mandalorian. Like, it just seems so weird at first, you know. So yeah, I'm excited to see the Inquisitors. I like that they're fleshing that out a little bit more. I hope that there's more, and it looks like there's going to be a little more connection or exploration of kind of how exactly they, you know, kind of tie into Vader, or like where they came from, without detracting from the main storyline, but just to kind of get at that a little bit more, since this is a little earlier in their kind of formation as a caste, or whatever you want to call it, you know, a particular mini order almost. It's like he started his own Jedi Order, you know, and I never really thought of it that way exactly. So just some of the things I'm looking forward to.
I really liked the scene where Owen and Obi-Wan are interacting, and he's saying that he needs to be trained, and like you don't think about that so much. It's almost like Obi-Wan just stumbled upon Luke accidentally in the original series, and so it's good to think that he was actually in contact with them beyond just handing off Luke, and that he did have some designs that he wanted to bring about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can see that kind of regretful face on him in the trailer when, you know, Owen Lars is like, oh, so you're going to train him just like you trained his father?
Mm-hmm.
I just loved that moment because you see his face, his reaction, and it's like, yeah, gosh, what am I going to do? And I really am looking forward, and I think a lot of us were, you know, and all of the marketing material has given us much more to look forward to. But ultimately, I think at the heart of this is really going to be what's going on inside Obi-Wan that we all are just dying to know. So that's definitely what I'm anticipating the most.
I think what I'm excited for the most is the inevitable Darth Vader and Obi-Wan meetup. And what's super exciting about that, too, is that's Hayden Christensen, who's come back to play Anakin Skywalker. And so I think that is going to be awesome. I don't know if they're going to do flashbacks so you can see Anakin, you know, outside of the Darth Vader helmet or not. But to have both of them together again is going to be just really, really cool.
Would you guys hear some of the rumors about like unused, you know, choreography from Episode 3 that might fit into this too, which is cool?
No, I hadn't
you know,
heard that. That's cool.
I like the poster has Vader on the high ground. He's like, not doing that again.
We'll make that mistake.
Cool. So we are going to kind of just jump into some fun things because it is Star Wars Day. Also, listeners, if you have fun questions for us, we have a number of questions, so I can't guarantee that we'll get to all of them. But if you have questions that you would like us to answer, you can type them in the chat. I'm going to do my best to try to watch that. So my fellow panelists, if you want to help me kind of watch that as well, that would help me out a lot. But so if you have questions, put them in the chat. And beyond that, we are going to just kind of talk about some random fun things. So since this is a video broadcast, I thought it would be fun, of course, to do show and tell. So let's go back to kindergarten and show off our Star Wars toys.
This has nothing to do with the Grogu on your shoulder, does it?
No. In fact, that's not even part of my show and tell. That's just he's my companion on these things. So, Thomas, why don't we start with you? I think we've each got a couple items that we're gonna show off and talk about, something that we've got in the last year or something that's meaningful to us. So, Thomas, what do you got?
Yeah, so I unfortunately I don't have one of. Shared it with the group the other day. I'm looking to buy one of the Bandai posable models of the Mandalorian and the Child. It looks very much like the samurai style stuff. So it's not cheap. So I've had to gradually save my fun money up to get to the point where I can get it. But my wife did get me this in the meantime, which is my This Is the Way mug, so I can drink my extra dark coffee because that is the way.
Very nice.
Yeah. And that's mine for this year.
Okay.
I've got a mug too. I mean, this wasn't really like my show and tell, but this is a chipped mug because this is also the way. Like, you use your Star Wars stuff so much that it just gets broken. No, but I wanted to show off some of our merch because
yeah,
I got this notebook, Secrets of Star Wars notebook, and let me make sure the stream can see it. I've got my pencil in there. This is what I used in our RPG episodes.
Yes.
So the cool thing is that it does have lined pages, but then it also has this great folder in the back. You probably can't tell. There you go.
There you go.
yeah.
Folder. Two-sided, by the way. So if you are also a nerd and you like our show, go get the merch. But I'm genuinely excited about this. So yes, that's my show and tell.
Well, I have two things quick, and the first one I'll just share. This was a find. My wife was all excited because she was at what was it? Not Dollar Tree. It was Five Below. The store, and there's just random stuff there. And now I know there's potential controversy surrounding this in a way, but this was quite a find. Okay, they had the Cara Dune little bobblehead, which was just really, really cool, and it's just a nice design, I think, on it. So I like her character a lot. So that was kind of a cool find. And then of course this is old news from fall 2020. So I'm sure I talked about this last year on our May 2021 show, but oh man, I just love this thing. And this sucker, this is so heavy. This is the Roman props, where the guy spent years tracking down every single piece, that went into the original Obi-Wan prop, which, as we all know, those prop guys they just got what they could find. They went to army surplus stores, they went to hardware, whatever. They put stuff together, repurposed old stuff. Engine parts, pieces of old World War II machine guns that were not hard to get in the 70s, but harder now. And so he basically machines all of those now. He remapped everything. So those aren't original parts, but it's absolutely screen accurate. Proportions are right, and it's exciting. So I will be sitting there every time I'm watching Kenobi, in the early morning, cup of coffee in one hand and this in the other. And I really just love how much how prominently that's featured on this newest poster and stuff. How they've now made it the eye at the end of his name is kind of cool. So yeah, that's my stuff.
That's fantastic. I also have to show off a lightsaber, and so my lightsaber.
Oh. Cool.
So this is also, this ties into Galaxy's Edge. So I got this at Galaxy's Edge, and it was one of those that I went to Savi's workshop to build myself.
Uh-huh. Oh,
so,
cool.
And then of course, if you
nice,
nice. And it will
you
make
went with green,
right? Yeah, I did because green was always the color that I felt drawn to for a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely
Nice.
sure why, but so this particular style, I forget. There was like you can custom make these things, and I forget exactly
Yeah.
what style I got, but I wanted it to be. In fact, it looks similar to the lightsabers that the Temple Guardians
Yeah,
used
that's
in
it.
Rebels.
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna
It looked
say,
So
familiar.
it's got a kind of a gold and silver kind of look to it. So
Sort of High Republic
Neat.
going on there too.
yeah. So that's
That's
the
cool.
one item that I wanted to show, and then the other item that I wanted to show.
Oh, sweet.
Excellent.
Nice.
So this particular Stormtrooper helmet, I got from a friend of mine who actually lives. He lived down in the Keys, but now he lives in Orlando, and he goes by Vacation Trooper on Instagram. But he painted this, and I ended up buying it from him. So this is kind of
That
just
is
been
sweet.
it's been just hanging out in my office ever since. So, and it is something I could totally put on, but with my earphones, it wouldn't really work. So I'm not gonna put it on. But
That's sweet.
yeah. Yeah, if you walk into my office, it's just like you can't not find something Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Imagine the same is with you guys too. So okay, well, we are going to jump into some other fun party questions now. These ones are sort of just again meant to be sort of kind of lighthearted things, and being Star Wars Day, you know. Have you ever thrown a party involving Star Wars related menu items? I found this an interesting question. And if so, what have you done? And if not, what would you have done? And Thomas, take it away.
All the time. I think our favorite, we the very first one we ever did was Greedos Burritos. And this is from, it's from, again, we've got like 5 Star Wars cookbooks at this point, and my kids all love cooking, and so they have clever names for all of the things. But the first one we ever did was Greedos Burritos, and it was for a party, and so we keep that tradition up every Star Wars Day. That's one of the things we do is we make sure that we grab a whole menu from those books and put it together.
That is so fun. I was given a party platter that is Darth Vader's face or helmet, and it has like it's sectioned off so you can put like chips and salsa and different things in there. So we do that, and there's inevitably there is salsa in there, so it's kind of like dark because I'm eating this like red substance out of this like Sith Lord's helmet. I always wanted those ice cube makers that are like Hun in carbonite, but I never got them. Hopefully now that we're in our new place, we'll be throwing more like get-togethers and stuff. So I'll have an excuse to buy something like that. But
Yes.
yeah.
Or the Death Star. They have you can make Death Star spheres too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I should have had them tonight. I don't have the Death Star ones, but I have the Vader full 3D Vader helmet one. My brother-in-law got them for me with a glass set, and it's done now. I was having a hot drink earlier, but that's long gone. But I've never cooked anything expressly Star Wars, but I wanted to share that recipe again with anyone who missed it earlier for the Octu coffee, which is, and by the way, shout out to our American Catholic history friends, Tom and Noel, because I heard about Basil Hayden's bourbon from Tom. Was actually the first place I heard about that, and I am a fan. And so that is what I featured tonight in just basically, 6 ounces of coffee, about a shot of the Basil Hayden's, and then another shot of the either Bailey's. I prefer St. Brendan's cream, an Irish cream. But then the key to make it an Octu coffee is you have to add specifically 8 drops of green food coloring in it for episode 8, so that you get that look of the green milk, the notorious green milk from The Last Jedi. So that's the whole idea was, if Luke created in desperation some sort of alcoholic beverage to sort of ease his sorrows on the island there. So it preserves some of the Irish heritage of Skellig Michael. That's kind of what I'm going for too.
There you go.
So that's all I've got.
That's awesome. My take on it is I actually haven't done a whole lot because I haven't really ever hosted a Star Wars party, and perhaps I should in the future.
Sure.
But the one that comes to my mind is actually we created Blue Milk one year, me and a friend, Sean, as we were watching the live stream for Star Wars Celebration that year. And so it was definitely an alcoholic take on Blue Milk. So it wasn't just milk with blue food coloring, but I can't remember the recipe at all. But that was a lot of fun to be able to have a drink and share that, and of course watch the live stream for Star Wars Celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do like I have two nephews and a niece, and it would be fun to do like sugar cookies and do them all, in characters and stuff. But I just haven't yet been able to do something like that. So I'll add that to my list.
I think Thomas needs to host like a whole show on
just cooking Star Wars
food.
There are some really good cookbooks out there that the ones that we've come across have all been pretty decent. Nerdy Nummies is a good kind of intro, gives you a broad spectrum of interesting things to make, and some of her stuff is Star Wars themed. But we have a couple of really good, like just Star Wars centric books that have very clever names to them. The recipes really aren't bad. They're quite tasty. So yeah, I recommend anybody who's interested in it or who wants to throw a party. You can find some of those, and I'll dig the names up, and we'll share the names out on the show notes.
Dare we post the cooking with, I was looking it up, Chef Gourmanda. What was the holiday special thing with Harvey Korman as like the space Julia Childs or something? That's so uncomfortable.
Maybe not.
Yeah. We'll leave that one alone.
Okay, so jumping to a completely different topic, I feel like this is going to be our show tonight. Is it's very kind of all over the place. So next topic of questions is, or it's not really a question, but name your favorite piece or pieces of Star Wars music. And in fact, we had a young listener, Finley, who's a good friend of mine. It's their son also asked this question. So, favorite pieces of music from the Star Wars universe.
That's hard.
Right, I could just start like listing them off, but
nothing beats that opening note, though. The opening note leading into the scroll is just it is iconic beyond anything else that we have in practically all of cinema. It really just that blaring note and then right into that fanfare. That's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. I always loved Yoda's theme. For a lot of reasons, and so many of them other themes that I love. But and do you guys remember it's kind of a longer track, but the final-ish track from Attack of the Clones, as you finish that fight with Dooku, and then it goes through that really spooky kind of music,
Mm-hmm.
right when Dooku's meeting with the Emperor, and then how it just goes right in the Imperial March so incredibly. Mm-hmm. It's just a really powerful scene with the clone troopers lining up in the beginning of the Clone War. That's a really powerful track I like to listen to,
And subtle in the way that it's delivered too.
Yeah.
And Duel of the Fates. Man, Duel of the Fates is such a good track.
Yep. Good choice for the trailer, right for Obi-Wan. That was just, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I definitely, it's a new one, but when I heard whatever the name is, I don't know, but it's what's playing during the credits of The Force Awakens, and it's got the new themes, but it's got the old themes in there too. It's really kind of like this tapestry of stuff, and I really love. There's something about Rey's theme that I think. John was really inspired, I guess, by Daisy Ridley. He said he like really wanted to write something for her, but just like the depth of emotion and also the beauty in that particular piece, I really appreciate.
Yeah, John Williams is truly a remarkable composer. I'm going to list probably just three of them right off the top of my head that you guys didn't mention that I just absolutely love. So the Across the Stars, the love theme from episode 2, of course, and Battle of the Heroes. So that would be episode 3, the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan. and then March of the Resistance. So that would be coming from The Force
Yeah.
Awakens.
Yeah.
There's just something incredibly kind of uplifting and just jubilant about that march. So, and I could talk about those for hours. I love them so much. But I want to plug, if you are interested in the music of Star Wars, there is a phenomenal podcast out there called The Soundtrack Show, and by David W. Collins, who's been involved with Star Wars for decades. But he actually has it's a podcast, and he breaks down the music from episodes 4, 5, and 6, and like 3 episodes per or 3 podcast episodes per movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he breaks down all of the music of the original trilogy. And eventually I think he'll get to the other movies as well. But Soundtrack Show, David W. Collins, I highly, highly recommend it. And he does more than Star Wars. He talks about tons of movies from the recent decades.
Yeah.
So,
David W. Collins, for anyone who doesn't know, he works at Skywalker Sound, and he's done a lot of voiceover, ADR for the recent movies, like even to the prequels, I believe. Or he was maybe an intern during the prequels, I forget. But anyway, he knows the inside stuff, and he's got like spreadsheets on like how many times per movie each theme appears and when it appears. It's awesome.
Yeah.
See, that's a real Star Wars nerd right there. That's like, he's the guy that gives us our cards.
Well, and he breaks it down so that the average listener can understand what he's talking about. And so he's entertaining to listen to. He's incredibly informative, and he's incredibly geeky. And it is so fun to listen to him. And so yeah, and I think actually he was involved in the Bad Batch and some of the animated stuff recently. So he is still very much active in the Star Wars production stuff.
I want to mention one more thing real quick before I forget, because I can't remember if it came up before, but that song, is it Teacher's Pet, I think is the song, and I don't know if it was Joseph Shirley or Ludwig Göransson in terms of who wrote it per se in the collaboration on the Book of Boba Fett soundtrack, but when Luke's training Grogu, like I keep going back and listening to it because I swear there's elements in that song when Luke's training Grogu that sound like kind of some major chord versions of the Kylo Ren theme. Which is like, if that was on purpose, that's really cool. The idea of this kind of echo. So there's so much though like that in all the music and all the composers. Is just it's just such an awesome aspect of the whole thing.
And I want to give props to the newer composers too. Because some of the newer movies and even the Clone Wars and stuff isn't John Williams, but they are all still. They pay homage to what John Williams did, but they make it their own, and that's why it's so hard. It's so hard not to pick like the Mandalorian theme as one of my pieces of music that I really enjoy, because that's Star Wars. It's very much Star Wars. I very much enjoy it, but it's like it feels like a betrayal almost to say this other guy. But like, I do love the stuff that Göransson's doing, because it really it's pushing the boundaries of what is Star Wars music, but at the same time it really feels very much at home.
Even Kiner's stuff at the end of season 7 of Clone Wars, because we talked about that back at the time, and it's so different, and it has more similar elements to some other sort of sci-fi films, but somehow I love it. Like, I love those tracks from those last few episodes with Maul.
So I pulled a fast one on my kids, and I want to know if you guys know this. This afternoon we're driving home from religious ed, and my son is sitting in the back of the van, and he asks me, "Dad, put on the Imperial March." And so then my daughter and I raced to grab the Bluetooth in the car really quickly before we got going, and I got it first, but she thought she got it, and so she started playing the Imperial March on her phone, and it was the sound was silent, but she had a YouTube video, so she had John Williams conducting a symphony orchestra playing the Imperial March. But what was coming through the radio was not Star Wars music at all. And it was bizarre, because we were sitting there watching it, and it looked just like the orchestra was playing it. So I'm wondering if you guys know what I put on specifically, either the composer or the song that I put on to replicate the Imperial March so closely. I'm intrigued.
I don't know.
I have a piece of trivia for you then. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and listen to Gustav Holst, The Planets. His symphony called The Planets, specifically the Mars. Mars, the Bringer of War.
That was the source music.
That was the
George
source music.
Lucas used. Yeah,
exactly. And it is very eerie. Like I was surprised by how much you almost got lost in watching him conduct.
That's so crazy.
The orchestra, and it sounded just like this music was playing in the orchestra that he was playing.
I forget which movement it's from, because there's another movement from the Planets that, like, apparently, I mean, it's almost identical to Grogu's theme, which was I mean, just like that little, like, very ethereal kind of, like, mystery, like, curiosity, like childlike curiosity music or whatever. Like when it's sadly the one where he's around the frogs, like the frog like eggs. Which I've only seen once because of the spiders, and I'm not watching it again. I'm sorry. I'm glad to be the not expert on that episode, but
so I would say if you're interested in composing music like John Williams, go listen to Gustav Holst and take some of the themes out of there, because he really did. Like there are parts. I could go scene for scene in some of the stuff that's going on in Holt's The Planets and say, oh, well, that's especially Mars, the Bringer of War. There's like some stuff that's directly drawn. Like you can go, oh, that's Luke when he fires the proton torpedoes into the Death Star. That's the Death Star charging up to start firing. But yeah, you can definitely hear the inspiration for Star Wars in there.
Yeah, and that's something that John Williams just brought into his movie making in general. So beyond Star Wars, you know, he was inspired by that era of music, and he's the one who sort of brought that back into modern movies. So the big soundtracks and all of that is a result of John Williams specifically, who was inspired by those from, gosh, what is that, 17th, 18th century? I'm blanking on those, but yeah, he was very clearly inspired by those, which is really fascinating. So jumping off to now a completely different topic once again, we have started a role-playing game on the show, and this is all just been very, very fun for all of us. So just a couple random fun questions for all of us to answer. First of all, give our listeners and watchers a refresher of who our role-playing character is. And maybe Thomas, give a refresher, like just real quick on what it is, on what a role-playing game is.
All right.
And then, so who your character is, if you had merch for that character, what would it be? And then how would you want them to, if Star Wars brought them into canon, where would you want to see them? Book, movie, animated, etc.?
So I'll go first, since I don't really have a character, and I'll give you guys a chance to kind of think about it. So I'm the game master, and I'm the guy that's like kind of directing the story. So I get to throw the loops at them and give the generalized plot. But basically, an RPG is just collectively telling a story together, and all of the players are in charge of a particular character and that character's actions and desires and interests. And the game master kind of throws the world at them, and then they all get to see collectively how the characters are going to deal with the world and what they're going to do. And so I'll turn it over to you guys, and you can introduce your characters and talk about them a little bit.
Captain?
Okay.
No.
I thought it'd be weird if I went first, because I was kind of the last one to join.
Okay, I can go first. Mike, do remind me of your character's name though.
Kig.
Okay.
Kig.
Because I didn't want to mess that up. So my character that I created was a character named Jet, and so he is a Chiss, and Jet being sort of a play on Fett, the last name of one of my top favorite character, Jango Fett, and Jet also sort of being a reference to like a jet engine, because my character is a pilot. So he's Chiss, he's a pilot, and he owns the ship that we used in our RPG. Thankfully, we didn't get it impounded or anything.
Close.
So I don't know if I'd consider him the brains, but he's definitely the unofficial captain of the group, I guess I would say. And I would love, I mean, who wouldn't want an action figure of a character that you create? So an action figure would be fantastic for Jet. And then a medium for Star Wars to bring him in. I've always loved novels, the Star Wars novels. So I would love to see a novel, but with Kig as my co-pilot, because that would just, like a Chiss and a Bothan, like Han Solo Chewbacca adventure story would be fantastic to read.
Well, I'm happy to. I'll start with the last part first because I also said novel. So I think we're in agreement there. These guys need to be fleshed out more in that capacity. But yeah, so my guy's Kig Mukero, a 27-year-old Bothan who's a sort of a Jedi, former Jedi in hiding. So there's some connections to kind of the well, I was going to say, not the Kenobi factor, the Kenobi situation, but that other Jedi find themselves in. Just because I find it really interesting, of how do you do that, and even like I've thought, from in a real world situation, and I've wondered very often about, with how serious my faith is to me, but like, would I be courageous enough if I were in an environment where, not only was my faith being resisted or mocked or that kind of thing. I mean, I've been there before in real life, but actively persecuted and hunted and potentially executed happens a lot in history. And I've always wondered, where does that grace? It comes from God, but like, how does that work? In someone to give them that courage, or do you hide? Do you help? So yes, that's part of his background, and he's determined not to let anyone find out that he's a Jedi because he leans more towards just being, wanting to keep that under wraps. So my merch, though, I think you guys will appreciate, because Bothans are apparently on average 4'9", and I'm not. I'm about 5'8". I'm okay with that, but my Bothan, I think, is not so platform shoes. Because I thought, what a random, like, I mean, there's Star Wars everything. I'm sure there's Star Wars platform shoes, but I just imagine like a platform shoe with like a star field on it and like Kigs on the back. I don't know, like on the heel. So maybe like Bothan ears sticking out the side of it. That was something that came to mind.
Kid kicks.
Yes, it's meant to be.
My character's name is Paku Jaylee. The name comes from, she's a Claudite, which is a shapeshifter type of species. And so Paku in Korean means like to transform. And I'm kind of into like learning the Korean language. And then Jaylee comes from, I had a high school friend that used to call me Jelly. So yeah. I would want to see Paku in a comic, because I think it'd be fun to see a shapeshifter in a comic. And then what kind of merch? I'm imagining, like, for a shapeshifter, maybe like some kind of mood ring situation on like a bracelet. Like, so some sort of band that's like a mood ring type of material. Yeah.
It's very cool.
That's
nice.
And
I
appropriate too.
I've told you guys a couple of times, I don't know if I've said it on the show yet or not, but I'm really proud that all of you went with an alien species. Nobody went with just bland, human, regular Star Wars. So we have an entire crew of aliens that's going into this story, which is really great.
We're in a galaxy far, far away. Like, that's kind of the point.
Right? Yeah. There's too many humans in Star Wars. Let's branch out a little bit.
Okay, off to another topic. What bumper sticker worthy Star Wars quote is among your favorites?
I want the negotiator. That's
Grievous.
I had two. Mine. I had one from Solo, but I have to be emphasized. I'm a great pilot. but the one that's more of like maybe a jerky thing to do, but I just could not resist, was to have a bumper sticker that just says, "Somehow Palpatine returned." Which, by the way, if you type "somehow" on Google, the first thing that pops up is "somehow Palpatine returned." Like, poor Oscar Isaac. I love him.
Yeah.
I think mine is probably "We're all fine here now."
It's a great
from Han.
Mine, I don't think I would actually put it on my car, but I think it's a fun kind of, a little bit, anyways, maybe I'll just share it. This is, and Qui-Gon Jinn said it, so, I mean, just to preface it, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. But it's not something I would ever put on my car, but kind of the...
Stolen. That'd be hilarious, like, just seeing your car and then somebody's like parked behind you and then they see like a guy in a Roman collar get out of the car.
Well, I mean, because already on the back of my car, there's a bumper sticker that says "Pray for priests," and like, and if I put that on that, yeah. Funny to think about, but I don't think I'd ever do it in person.
So. That's the whole point of bumper stickers, though. You got to be salty, right?
Right.
Let's have a Latin teacher friend who has a thing up over his door, over his classroom that says, "Don't believe everything you think."
Yes.
Wise.
Okay, in a similar vein, do you guys have an unpopular opinion about something in Star Wars?
No, all of my opinions are popular.
I only embrace that. I'll throw mine out quick because I don't really know. I'm sure it's unpopular with some people, but I was thinking about this today. I think I'm okay with midichlorians. And specifically, I know the big debate, or one of the big debates, or one of the issues that came up so much over the years it was the idea of like, sort of retconning in a sense, or the perspective on it being a retcon of how the Force works, to like, well, now it's just a matter of, if you win this genetic lottery and have enough of these microorganisms in you, and now you, and what I was thinking was, it reminded me a little bit of like when we get into like theology, especially some of the high school kids, trying to very carefully enter into a deeper kind of breakdown of what equality really means, and the equality of like absolute, God's willing to, give his life kind of, equality between all of us in terms of our dignity and our value and our worth, right? 100% absolutely worth it, right? But we're so obviously very different in terms of our baseline, maybe skills or talents or propensity for certain skills or certain activities, certain career paths, whatever it might be. Like, there's a huge variety. So there's certain things, of course, I am, and you can grow in these areas, but there's just some things I'm just not gifted for, And I think I'm okay with the idea of, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but there are some people in the Star Wars universe who seem to be the mystery, right, of the will of the Force. They're going to have a bigger role to play, in some sense, in the direct access to the Force and the using of the Force and having more power and all that. But then, of course, comes the responsibility, right? The Spider-Man quote, and all those themes that we see play out with, how do they treat that gift they've been given? And so that's in that Kenobi novel, which, I don't want to get into that too much, but I love that where Obi-Wan talks about that idea of like Anakin never having really been grateful, or appropriately thankful for the tremendous power that he had. He was arrogant about it. And I was like, that's a good life lesson. So I think I'm okay. I think I've come around on midichlorians, maybe.
I've pretty much always been okay with grouchy Luke.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, partially because I see that as someone who is older, and I realize that as you get older, you change. Like, your character can really change as you grow and develop as a person. So the person he was when he was young and hopeful and, spunky and everything, I mean, it's just kind of natural for a lot of people that you just get grouchier as you get older. And also he seemed to be like disappointed in himself too, partially because of what he had chosen to do towards Ben. But ultimately, it's because I know a lot of people who have become discontented with like their religion, and with the institution of their religion. And to me, that's Luke in that particular movie. It's like, no, the Jedi, they don't understand. They got big in their head and they messed it all up, and it's all got to die. It's all got to burn. And I've seen a lot of people turn that way who, have also been very ardent in their younger years. So I totally think that it's very relatable and very plausible.
I'll riff off of that one and say my unpopular opinion. I do not categorically across the board do not like Luke Skywalker. There is not
he actually said
thing about it that I like.
That my dad was always like that. He's like, I just don't.
I love Mark Hamill, and this is the thing: is like I love Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's a fantastic actor. He played that character to the hilt, and I think that's part of the reason I don't like him, just because he's annoying. He's whiny. There's a great Weird Al Yankovic song where it's Luke is in the desert whining, right? And so I don't like Luke. And so like when he reappeared in The Mandalorian and everybody was like, Luke's back, it's like I was like,
I remember Thomas was like
great.
Oh man.
So, yeah. There's my unpopular Star Wars opinion.
that seems to disqualify you to continue on this. Kidding.
I guess.
Thomas, that was me, my wife and I earlier, just following our 2-year-old around the kitchen, just like Luke in Empire. Like, oh, you're making a mess. Like just.
Yeah. So. My and I don't really, I think this was an unpopular opinion at one point. I don't think it's so unpopular now, but it's sort of in line with Mike actually, is that I really enjoyed the prequels. And I think as time has gone on, the prequels have gotten more love, especially perhaps since the sequel trilogy came out. So, but I guess I'll say this way. I liked the prequels when they were unpopular.
Right.
So if that
you
makes
were there
sense.
first.
Right. I'm not a bandwagon prequel fan. I was there.
It's not an unpopular opinion. It's a hipster opinion.
Right. But even like Jar Jar Binks, I mean, yes, he's goofy, but he has a role to play in the story, and so I think he gets a little too harsh of opinions thrown out there by many people. So
he's less annoying than Luke.
well, Father, did you see there was an article, like all this stuff that came out today? One of the articles pointed out that Deb Chow specifically said, when asked about they were trying to press her for like who might be in Kenobi, what about this character, that character, and I guess this was actually a few weeks ago, and she said that the main connective tissue was the phrase she used. The main connective tissue for Kenobi is the prequels.
Ooh.
So I was like,
possibly.
Ooh. So just because that's where they're kind of coming from to get to where they're at right now, which makes sense. But yeah, so that's exciting. So Jar Jar.
Well, and if I remember right, he has like a pretty odd sort of outcome. I want to say in one of the Aftermath trilogy books. Like he's like a jester or something, making a living, and it's sad. And I don't know what the intention of the story group and whatnot, but it was like I almost felt like that was a way to like agree with all the Jar Jar haters and say, see, this is what happened to him, and like he's. I mean, he speaks funny, but he's a Gungan and
ability, like in his character, in his integrity. I mean, he has a lot of integrity as a character.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would work for the Kenobi show in all seriousness because for the mood they're going for, but I would just love to, like, I'm imagining like a scene like Obi-Wan's like on a mission, he's going through a marketplace, he's all secretive, and all of a sudden it's like that terrible Obi-Wan. Time to bump into somebody. Obi? Jar Jar. It's like, it's not me, like, shut up. Like worst time to bump into the old friend or something.
Let's play a game. I don't know you and you don't know me.
I would love to see that. Seth Green will do something with that. That's okay.
There you go. That's the redeeming there.
Oh, perfect. So we are going to kind of swap gears a little bit. Now that all the next questions have come from listeners prior to the show. So these were ones that I collected over the last few weeks. So again, if you have a question that if we have time to get to and you want to ask it, go ahead and throw that into the chat, and we will try to pick those up, and we'll try to get through as many of these questions as we can. So first question, very clear and straightforward from Elena, who is one of my parishioners out here in Wyoming. So Elena asks, and she's 9, by the way, so just to throw that out there. She asks, she wants to know what was the first Star Wars movie ever made? So real tough question, but
THX 1138. It's got Wookiees.
that was basically George Lucas kind of doing that was kind of his first foray into making a movie, and it was sort of right before the first Star Wars movie ever made.
That is not a serious answer. It's a total joke answer. Alana, but it was one of his first. It was a student film, I think, that he did.
Yep.
Really great film. If you get a chance to find it and watch it.
Where was he at again? Was it USC he was at, or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds right.
There was a great YouTube video that came out years ago before those were common, and it might have been like a College Humor or E-Bombs World or one of those, if you guys remember those days. But that was like a Shakespeare in Love kind of ripoff, and it was Lucas in Love, and it was like him on campus and like all the influences, just very overt, like people on campus that he'd bump into that would like, oh, that's Han, that's Chewie, his professor's like Yoda. So that's a funny video, imagining the origin story.
Well, to answer the question, it's Star Wars: A New Hope,
right?
Episode 4 in the lineup of episodes. But back then, it was just called Star Wars because they didn't know if it was going to be a success, and they didn't know if they'd ever have a sequel. And of course, it became such a huge success that it became part of the trilogy and got labeled as Episode 4. So next question comes from Jason on Discord, and he's asking us if we are going to backtrack and review the first season of Rebels. And my answer there would be we'd love to, as long as we have enough time sometime down the future with all the new shows coming out. We did try to kind of hit some highlights in Rebels, and it would be great to go back and review it from the beginning, but it all depends on how much downtime we have between new stuff coming out. Also from Jason on Discord, and this one actually might apply to you guys more than me. He wants to know which 80s Star Wars cartoon was better. There was, the Droids cartoon and the Ewoks.
Mm-hmm. And the Ewoks cartoon.
And I have not seen either, so I can't really answer this. I don't know if you guys have seen them.
I'm deficient there myself. The live action Ewok movies, which are just astonishing, you can watch on Disney. I think they're still on there in the Star Wars Vintage, yeah. But I don't know. Thomas, have you? I'm not sure.
I have watched both, actually.
Have you?
And,
okay.
I prefer the Ewoks just because the droids look really weird, and the Ewoks actually kind of look cute and cuddly, sort of.
Is
it's 80s cartoons, so...
Is it true that blues musician Taj Mahal did the theme song for
Oh, gosh,
Ewoks?
I don't know that.
I heard that somewhere. That's like, I love him. I can't so I got to look that up. But I heard that and maybe do a double take.
Yeah. So if I'm pushed, I would have to choose the Ewoks cartoon.
Ewoks.
Okay.
I'll check it out.
The weird thing is, I was born in the 80s, but my dad decided to not show me those cartoons. I didn't even know they existed until literally a few years ago. So I haven't opened them up in Disney Plus to watch.
Well, and I'm going to be honest, I must have been the most dense kid in the world because I watched the Ewok cartoons and the droid cartoons, and I had all of these Star Wars toys, and I didn't watch the Star Wars movies until I was in middle school or high school. And the two never clicked until I was in college. And it was like, wait a minute. I remember playing with that Rancor growing up. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, next question, also from Jason on Discord. He asks, who is your favorite Star Wars actor that has crossed into other franchises?
Harrison Ford?
Is the question that they had their start in Star Wars or just a Star Wars actor?
I would imagine just an actor who's played in multiple franchises.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh gosh, that's hard because I mean,
yeah. What
Hamill's the voice of all Batman or all Jokers.
He's the Joker. Yeah. And no, he's also the trickster in the Flash, the TV show, The Flash. Like physically, he embodies him, not just a voice. So.
Oh wow.
I mean, what came to mind initially when he said it, and that was probably because I just watched Moon Knight this morning, but Oscar Isaac.
That's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
You know,
because he played. I think his first major cinema role was in 2006. He played Joseph in the Nativity Story.
Yeah.
And so I always like Oscar Isaac was like that's still my baseline for him. So I was even joking when he was in Star Wars. I'm like, guys, look, Saint Joseph is in the galaxy far, far away. But no, he's really got a pretty big range. And I've been impressed with him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think the quality, the caliber of actor that does Star Wars is just really high. Like it's a really high bar to be a Star Wars actor and to fit one of those main roles. So they're all great, but I think it would be a tie for me between Harrison Ford and Mark Hamill. And that's only for their roles and other things. If I had to pick a person that I wanted to go have dinner with, it would be Carrie Fisher all the way, like 100% without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear Daniel Logan, who played young Boba Fett? I heard an interview with him where he said that at one event, like he was just reminiscing about his time with her, and he said she signed her name in lipstick on his forehead one time, and it took he could not get it off for like the rest of the day. Had this red spot. It just sounds fun.
Yeah, she's a card. Everything I've heard about her, she would have been fun to hang out with.
Yeah. We aren't going to get Angela's answer on this. Her internet kicked out, so she is going to join back with us as soon as she can. It is the night for technical issues. So, moving on. This is from a good friend of mine, Father Brian. He asks if a live action only Star Wars movie TV fan, so someone who's only seen live action movies and TVs, was going to read, watch, listen to just one non-live action Star Wars thing, what would you recommend and why?
I'd say Clone Wars. That's just which you guys know it's kind of you got to give it some time because it starts off a little wooden and kind of like what is this, but really I just for me that really filled in so many gaps and kind of fleshed out the canon in a way I don't think anything else really has.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I mean, I still go to the novels, and so if you wanted to jump into novels, canon-wise novels, I would recommend the Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
If you want to jump into Legends, I would still recommend I would recommend the Thrawn trilogy from the Legends. They're two different trilogies. But I think that there's a lot there. A lot of the new canon books, I've been able to get to some, but not all, and some are mediocre and some are fantastic. But definitely the book called Thrawn, just Thrawn, is and that would lead you then into Star Wars Rebels, which would be another great animated show to get into.
And on that note too, just quick, if you do audiobooks or I listen to all of the Thrawn books on audio, and Mark Thompson, who does them, is just so phenomenal. And I guess he was recording those after Thrawn had debuted on Rebels. So he's trying to kind of emulate was it Lars Mikkelsen? Yep. I was getting Lars and Mads mixed up, but Lars. So he does a really good job of that too.
He's another one that I would love to. I think I can get him on the podcast. Mark Thompson.
Oh, really?
I shouldn't like try to jinx things, but I've met him before, and
that'd be awesome.
And I'm hoping I just need to try to reach out to him, but hopefully
I'm a big fan of him. Jonathan Davis I think does a lot too, but Mark Thompson does like 90% of the Star Wars books. He's so good.
Yep.
Angela.
Hello.
Welcome back. Man, this is tough. I think it would depend on the person, because I think there's some people that just will not get behind the cartoons regardless of the quality that they have, because that's just I know for some people that's kind of like a boundary breaker, like watching cartoons just doesn't allow them to immerse themselves. And then the novels are really good, but the comics are really very interesting, and there's some very deep cuts in the comics that you can get. But if I had to pick one, I would pick the what was the novel about Mace Windu that they
Shatterpoint?
did? Shatterpoint, yeah. Which that's Legends at this point, right? That's been
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
So that was a fantastic novel in its own right. Fleshed out a character that's interesting in the movies, but then very much more interesting when you learn the rest of the story, and fleshed out the idea of the Force in a very big way that kind of pushed the boundaries of what you knew about all of the other characters in the galaxy as well.
So I don't know, Angela, if you caught where we're at, but do you have a recommendation for someone who has only seen live action movies and TVs of Star Wars? What a recommendation would be to do something that's non-live action Star Wars?
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely, yeah, one of the animated series, I would say, and probably, I guess Clone Wars, because the characters are going to be the most familiar to you, and that's kind of a way to ease in, and maybe that's why George went that route. I don't know, but yeah, definitely trying out the animated series. And I know for some people it's a little bit rough at the start, but if you kind of understand the backstory of, they were just kind of trying it out, and the technology was still developing, and it develops over the over the seasons, and just try it out for the storylines and the character development. That's really what I think draws people in ultimately. So yeah, for sure, Clone Wars animated series.
Awesome.
I want to amend mine. I got to do it real quick before we go on. Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
realize that you
Yes.
said play the game. If you do
Yeah.
video games at all, find a copy of the old Knights of the Old Republic and play it, because it was an amazing game. Absolutely incredible.
I would second that totally. And if you own the extremely rare PlayStation 5, which I do not own, they are currently remaking Knights of the Old Republic.
Nice.
So not just like updating the graphics, but I think I think it'll be the same story, but like completely redoing the cutscenes and everything. So that'll be that's coming, I don't know, within the next few years. You know how these things go. So also from Father Brian, what are the best and worst pieces of the Disney purchase of Star Wars? So I imagine the good and bad of the Disney purchase.
Well, I think the bad is probably that we lost some characters from Legends that a lot of people enjoyed, and that we could have seen in live action somehow, or even in some other property. So that's probably, to me, the worst.
But the turn of that
depending
is
on the
that they
best.
opened it up. Yeah. I
Yeah.
would say that's really good too, because they opened it up to tell really great stories, and weren't being bound by these 800 Jedi survived the Purge and were out roaming around the galaxy. So yeah,
True.
it's a mixed bag, that one.
I was pretty pretty disappointed with Resistance, which I've talked about before in the past, and not to denigrate the hard work of anybody who had anything to do with Resistance. I just personally never felt like the show quite got to the point of ever really justifying its existence, so to speak. I mean, it told some interesting stories, but it just didn't really offer any compelling characters. I mean, the ones who were compelling were kind of derivative, and there was so much of it that just seemed to me like hey, were you minding your own business and not watching sequel movies? Here, watch this, because this will launch you back into a sequel movie. Like, they were basically advertising for, like, some of the sequel movies, and I just thought, yeah, I already know about those. I don't know. That was just my opinion. I felt like it didn't at all match the quality, the caliber, the production value, anything really, the storytelling of especially Clone Wars, but even of Rebels. Just my opinion, but that was one I just thought was sort of a hit, sort of a miss on their part with animation, at least.
Yeah, and my answer would echo Angela's. Like, I was such a big fan of the Legends books, and to lose all of that, and granted they've brought in some characters, but even though they brought in some characters, they tweak things and stuff to fit the new story, and so it's that part is good, but so many of my favorite characters, and in fact there was a trilogy of books that was announced that had to be canceled when Disney purchased Lucasfilm, that I was just so devastated to lose. And there's no, as far as I can tell, there's no hope that those are ever going to be written. And so that's definitely for me the worst part of it. And I mean, definitely the best part is all the content that we're getting now. I mean, the shows that we're getting now have been just phenomenal, and I mean, you can some are better than others, and everything, but definitely with The Mandalorian, it's been just really, really cool. So there's always good and bad and ups and downs. So,
and even though spiritually I'm a big proponent of delayed gratification, I gotta say, we get new Star Wars every couple months. I'm not going to complain about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right.
I mean. That's awesome.
So this one is going to be potentially I don't know what the right word.
Controversial?
Controversial. There's a good word for it.
Yeah, I didn't even see that question.
This comes from Megan on Facebook, and she asked if you could permanently delete one character from Star Wars, canon or otherwise, who would it be and why?
I'll start. For the sake of all the Star Wars people, Sheev Palpatine. Now, would that delete Star Wars from a story perspective? Yes, but at least I would save those people a lot of headache.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and I just had to go with, it's going to be totally non-controversial, I'm sure, but the baby Hutt in the Clone Wars movie. Rhoda, the Huttlet, I guess. I just found that whole thing incredibly annoying, and just, I never want to go back to that.
I'm having trouble with this one because I'm like thinking of people, and then I'm like, wait, but if they get removed, then all these other people and things get removed.
Domino effect.
I guess probably the Master Codebreaker from The Last Jedi, because why was he there? Like, we didn't need him, really. Like, he was gambling, and no one cares anymore.
Who was the Imperial officer who has that just terrible line, "Perfect, our first catch of the day"? At the beginning of Empire? We could do without him, I just thought to myself, like, like I knew a lot of military officers in my career, and none of them ever said something that dumb. I don't know, no. But in all seriousness, probably Snoke, just because I wanted to get it. Angela teases me because I have a Snoke back here, but
it's a fabulous Snoke.
It is. It's a really well made little bobblehead. But I that character, I had so many. I'm not being arrogant. I just think we're all in this boat. I had so many great ideas for that character that were better than anyone writing it. I'm just like
a lot of potential.
That's another Seth Green thing. Robot Chicken recently went after episode 9, and they have Palpatine giving his just plan, and none of it makes any sense. And he's like, "Oh yeah, and I was Snoke." It's just like, all right, like, okay, like, fair enough.
I know this totally doesn't quite fit the question, but I want to delete all the ice spiders. Like you might. I hate it.
How did I not think of that? Oh man, not necessary. Can I say though, I was just glad that they weren't spiders. The big buildup in the infestation episode of Bad Batch, and the whole time I'm like,
Yeah.
Don't
They
do
were-
spiders.
They were definitely worse
Yeah.
in Mandalorian season 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So, okay. Next up is from Matthew on Facebook. When they eventually team up the Mandoverse characters for an epic crossover, who do you want the main enemy to be? Moff Gideon, Thrawn, armor-led fundamentalist, or someone or something else?
Ooh.
I don't think Thrawn will be a big bad in the Mandalorian, but if you're saying Mandalorian verse or whatever,
The Mandoverse. yeah.
Mandoverse, yeah, probably Thrawn. I mean,
Well, and I have high hopes for Thrawn. I don't want to say becoming a good guy, but like, you know, again, Father, you know, and all who love these novels, he's so much more than just a bad guy. That
Right.
I'm excited to see, because his path, like, we don't know where it goes in the new canon, and I would love to see him become more integrated in a bigger picture with, you know, what's going on with the Chiss ascendancy and all that. So I don't know.
Well, and he was really only a villain in Rebels because he was an Imperial,
Right.
and the Empire's no longer.
Right. And he's kind
Granted,
of
I don't
playing
know-
the Empire a little bit too, you know, to see who's the
because
bigger threat. And,
His first and foremost goal is to protect the Chiss.
right.
So we don't
Yeah.
really know. Well, we still don't know what happened with him and Ezra. And yeah, what's he going to do when he finds out that his Grand Admiral status means nothing because the Empire's no longer there?
Well, do you guys think they have to have, like, I don't know that they're necessarily too forced in the corner, but I mean, because of where this all falls, it is sowing seeds for the sequel trilogy. And there is potential there to maybe even fill in some gaps that we might not even like. So, like, especially with like the hints at the end of Bad Batch season 1 with this continuation of the Camino cloning program, and that patch is the same patch from, you know, Mandalorian. So, like, will we see more, you think, of this sort of, you know, Emperor Snoke kind of thing behind the scenes, or is that too big picture for like Mandalorian? I don't
think
know.
that's still decades away.
Yeah.
And
Right.
to be blunt, I suspect Disney has picked up on the fan dislike of that and is
That's
probably
true.
not going to throw that into the Mandoverse.
I think that there's going to be something new, and
Okay.
I think
Hope
that
so.
they have to push the story of what has happened to Mandalore,
Yeah.
and because of
Yes.
that, there needs to be something
Yeah.
kind of interesting going on. Ooh,
Looks like we have a interrupting live stream from Batu.
they all have their lightsabers out. That's
lightsaber
amazing.
party. Andrew,
The
can you
rebel
hear us?
force
What's
has
going on?
Intercepted the speed. There is some sort of rebel alliance forming beneath the Millennium Falcon.
Got some
There,
Sith in there.
yeah.
No, it's their
Everyone's
orange
doing it.
lightsabers.
We got- You know, I think I saw Mace Windu. I think it looks like he's still alive.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah,
breaking news.
yeah. Breaking news.
Attention Black Spire outpost. We have ended all training and operations. Exclusively the seal training to the Spire.
Not this guy. I don't know if you guys heard that announcement.
Sort of.
I think they're kicking all the normal people out.
Just the super fans left.
So it's like nerds can geek out the rest of the day. Well, how's the stream been going?
Good.
What are you guys doing right now?
We are answering listener questions. And so we were just discussing the potential for a big bad for the Mandoverse.
Oh, okay. For season 3?
Well, for like when there's the big epic crossover between, you know, Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Book of Boba Fett, if they do any more seasons of that. Yeah, we were just discussing that. Thomas was saying that we think that there might be a new bad coming in, which makes sense because if like Moff Gideon isn't a natural enemy to the Mandalorians, he definitely is in Mandalorian season 1 and 2, but he's after Grogu. He's not really after the Mandalorians. And then Thrawn is connected to Ahsoka in that story, but not quite the Mandalorian. So yeah, it would make sense if there's something else that becomes the villain of where the Mandalorian seasons go.
Did you guys have any guesses, or are you saying like it's a completely new character that's never been in canon?
Sure. Yeah,
we're all over the place. I want to know. I want to know what Andrew's unpopular Star Wars opinion is.
Oh, yeah.
Though, because he's the guy for unpopular opinions on our show.
Wow. Well, there's a couple I've shared before. I mean, Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie. I mean, everyone else loves Empire, right?
Okay.
That's like my classic unpopular opinion. I like the Ewoks.
Still
We
not
were expecting
controversial
you to be
enough.
more controversial.
I know. That's
Come on,
like
man! I
lame.
bared my soul here.
Yeah, you know what Thomas said? He said he
gosh.
doesn't like Luke.
You know what? That's
He
fair.
said category.
Luke is arguably not even a top 10 Star Wars character. Honestly, I can think of 10 characters easily better than Luke. Easily. Especially
Everybody
after
left the chat. No.
especially after the sequel trilogy. I mean, it was much easier to push Luke down the list. So I don't think that's controversial at all.
Yes.
I mean, Jar Jar, I'm not as down on Jar Jar Binks as most people are.
We talked about that too. Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, that's also another unpopular opinion. Let's see. Wow. I'm just too.
You're too hyped up on Star Wars
all of my
there.
senses. Yeah, I'm on a sensory overload right now.
Yeah.
You're like,
There
everything's
are a lot
awesome.
I think. I mean, this is. I think Ahsoka. I mean, I don't know if this is unpopular, but I think Ahsoka has a chance to be the next big Star Wars main character. I think she could be more popular than Mando eventually. I am seeing a lot of Ahsokas here. There are a lot of people dressed as Ahsoka here. So I think her popularity is reaching new heights. I think obviously fans of the animated series have been fans of her character for a long time, and the ones that were introduced to her in Mandalorian and Boba Fett obviously are just getting to know her. But I think the fact that Rosario Dawson is playing her and she's such a compelling character, I think if her show does well, I think she could overtake, Mando and Grogu as the most popular character going forward.
Nice.
So that's my take. That's my hot
Do you
take.
at all feel in danger of your life there because you're talking bad about Luke Skywalker in the middle of a ton of fans?
I said it pretty loudly, and no one. There's a lot of the First Order around here, so I think they're on my side with that.
Okay, is anybody dressed up as Luke Skywalker?
Not a lot. I've seen quite a few Luke Skywalker, Master Jedi Luke Skywalker, like all black. A lot of people dressed up like that, but not a lot of classic Luke.
I'm imagining this YouTube video where like Mark Hamill's just over your shoulder, just staring.
That would make my life. I would.
That's right.
I think.
Perfect.
Okay, we're going to continue with questions. So, Andrew, if you want to join us, you're totally welcome to. But this one comes from a couple other friends of mine who are young, from Finley and Kate. They want to know if you could live on one planet from Star Wars, which one would you live on?
Kashyyyk.
That's totally fair.
I don't know if I've seen an actual visual representation of it, but Dantooine is supposed to be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably go with Dantooine.
Where is Luke with Grogu? Did we name this planet in Book of Boba Fett?
Ooh, I don't think so, but
Because it was so
planet.
idyllic and beautiful and just very, that was a very captivating kind of setting where it wasn't, it was a little different than what we've seen before, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of cool.
That planet was called SoCal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, or you could live on. Was it Sorgan from
Yes.
the
that
Mandalorian season 1 where they protected the villagers?
Well, you know what's weird though is I love the ocean though too, and I said Naboo before by some of the lakes and stuff, but the ocean.
Yeah.
What I love that shot at the beginning of Rogue One, which I think they filmed in Iceland, didn't they, or something? It's just so stark and bizarre and interesting looking, and you know, like a kind of a little bit more like fertile and sort of moist Lars homestead kind of set, you're out there. I love that kind of, in the boonies kind of thing, but preferably not like actual desert, because been to many, I'm okay.
Right.
It's like
Sand. It gets everywhere.
That was another bumper sticker I was contemplating. Saw a funny meme today with the original Obi-Wan Vader fight, and they edit over Alec Guinness's lightsaber of him just throwing sand in Vader's face, and then it's the Vader yelling no at the end of episode 3.
Nice. I also have to throw out there, because I too like the oceans, and being from a mountain state, the oceans have always kind of been a nice idea for me. Camino. However,
I was say, do you love the ocean so much you will live on Camino where it rains all the time?
That's the problem. I don't think I could handle the rain 24/7. I think yeah, sunshine is the rare occurrence there, not the norm. So I don't know. Maybe I'll just have a condo there that I just live part-time there.
A timeshare.
Oh. Okay, here's a fun kind of more scientific-y kind of question. This is coming from Cyprian, and this is coming from his mom on Discord. Could the dull edge of the Darksaber be used to break through things due to the heat of the Kyber crystal, or is it not hot like lightsabers? So
just back up.
I had to do a little research on this one.
Huh.
And I think that the answer is, well, definitely yes. And we see that in Mandalorian when he cuts through his own armor and injures himself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But it doesn't cut through Beskar, but neither do lightsabers. Mm-hmm. So there is that kind of distinction. But also in looking up the Darksaber on Wikipedia, the Darksaber is made out of plasma, which would be the same thing that the lightsabers are made out of. But for some reason, it's pulling in all the colors, so it's emitting relatively little light, so it looks dark. But just because it's dark doesn't mean that it is cold to the touch. In fact, it would be just as hot as a lightsaber. So kind of fun. I didn't actually think about that ever before.
It's amazing.
I think it would have been cool.
It's like their job to think of these things.
Right.
I thought it would have been cool to have it somewhere in Book of Boba Fett, something where he drops it or just swings around and it turns the sand into glass or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know. That would have been cool.
Cool. And we have one question to end with. This did come through us through the chat, and I think this was coming from Elena as well. So, and she wants to know, what is your favorite Star Wars character? So kind of a good one to close our question and answer session with.
Mine is a tie between Obi-Wan and Ahsoka.
I think I'm just Obi-Wan. I said in the chat, I think my second place is Palpatine, just because he's a very intriguing villain to me.
I have to pick a droid because I love the droids. And I'm torn between Leet, who becomes the voice for the Millennium Falcon, and HK-47, who's in Knights of the Old Republic and refers to all organics as meat bags.
K2SO has got to be up there too, then.
Yeah, they're all of them.
Oh, K is fun.
You are being rescued. Congratulations. Do not resist.
Do not resist. Yeah, no, I love the droids. The droids are my favorite part.
And I think for anybody who knows me knows that Jango Fett is totally my all-time favorite Star Wars character. So to do our final kind of wrap up here, listeners and watchers, we do have prizes to give away. So if you've hung on with us this long, that's absolutely amazing. We are so happy that you're still watching us and geeking out with us. And so we have prizes to give away. So I have come up with a number of just kind of random trivia questions. And so I'm going to read through those, and you can put your answers in the chat, and we will circle back then and give the answers to these. So they're Star Wars or they're podcast panel related questions. So the first question is, what series is Angela's nickname, the Bendu, from? So if you know that character, the Bendu, what series is that character from? Second trivia question would be, what is my favorite movie? So should be pretty obvious by now, but you never know. Third question, which panelist loves tabletop role-playing games and led us on our own Star Wars adventure? Fourth, or fifth, I guess this is fourth. What is Baby Yoda's real name? Next question is, where were we introduced to the character of Boba Fett for the first time? Emphasis there on the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back through these, and I will let I will let my panel answer. I see Father Corey's already got an answer for the first one. And drumroll, we'll see if he's right. So Angela, what series is the Bendu from?
Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah. So Father Corey, hang on, and we'll be in touch, of course. We have basically the prizes that we're giving out is we do have T-shirts and mugs with the Secrets of Star Wars logo on them. So these are the prizes that we're giving away. So Father Corey gets one of those. And so next up would be, what is my favorite movie? And I haven't seen anything in the chat on that. So in fact, I've only seen Father Corey mention. So the rest of you who are watching, chime in.
Father Corey might be the only one still with us.
We get a picture of him later holding all of his prizes.
My favorite movie is Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
I was like, what's the answer to the second question, everyone?
Second question, second episode.
You just need someone in the chat to just really attack this question head on. And
third question. Which panelist loves tabletop role-playing games and led us on our own Star Wars adventure? So this was even answered earlier on in the show. If anybody wants to give that one a guess.
I do that with my high school students sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's like, I just said this 5 minutes ago. Oh,
I mean, his name rhymes with Amos.
Sometimes we doubt.
That was a good clue right there.
Thomas, why don't you answer this one?
That would be me, right? I think I'm the one that likes the tabletop role-playing games and led that one for us. It's good.
Awesome. And then, what is Baby Yoda's real name?
Trick question.
Toughy.
The child.
Well, that's sort of true.
There was an adorable lie detector of Pedro Pascal. They hooked him up to a lie detector and asked him a bunch of questions, and one of the things they asked him was about whether or not he had referred to Grogu as Baby Yoda after he knew the name. He's like, yes.
Oh, that's fantastic. So yes, Grogu is the name there. This one is not as easy as you think. Where were we introduced to the character of Boba Fett for the first time? So I suspect my panelists might know this, but they might They might not. I mean, this is actually quite a bit of a deep dive. It's a trick question, by the way.
Oh, is it?
It is a trick question. I mean, it's
Now I'm doubting
Not for
myself.
us. Not for us. No. You know it.
I think you guys know it, but
He was riding a rather large animal,
Yeah, okay.
and he had the forked.
and see, Thomas, you're falling into the trap. That's not the right answer.
See, that's why I was
Really?
wondering.
Really?
Hold on.
Are you
Oh,
talking on
oh,
screen?
duh.
Going like super deep cut with this.
This is a super deep cut.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Any recollections?
Wait.
I'm guessing then it would be a still.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Wow. Yeah, this
What?
is deeper
So
than
I'm pretty sure this is, if you go to the Disney Plus series that talks about the character Boba Fett. I want to say it was thrown into this, or it's in definitely one of the many Star Wars documentaries. So the answer that they were alluding to was the holiday special, which for most people that would be the correct answer, because that is the first time that he ever appeared on screen in any form.
Hello, friend.
So he was in the cartoon portion of the Star Wars Holiday Special, but the super deep cut is actually his character was created prior to then, and he was in a parade in a small California
That's
town.
right.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
In San Anselmo, California.
That's
So
right.
like he definitely not on screen at that point, but that was the very first time Boba Fett ever actually appeared in armor and everything, and then the holiday special premiered on the TV.
Walking next to Vader in the parade. Well, I forget. Was it
Yeah.
was it Dave Prowse in the parade or not? Was it someone else in the costume? I don't remember.
Ooh,
Oh,
that I'm not
really?
sure.
I'll have to go
about.
back and check that out. That was in that. Yeah.
So,
Huh.
so that was totally deep cut and meant to trick you guys, and I'm kind of glad I succeeded. That was awesome.
It's been a while since I've watched that.
For those of you who are still watching, I did see Father Corey, you got a prize, and Michael Kuipers, looks like you got one as well. So did Jason Nunez. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your names. There are only 7 people currently watching, and we had 6 prizes. So I'm pretty sure that we can bump that up to 7. So all 7 of you who are watching, if you would email me at Father Fett. I'll put it in the comments, but fatherfett@sqpn.com, and give me your name, your mailing address, t-shirt size, or mug, coffee mug, and we will ship you out prizes for hanging with us and being so cool to ask questions and hang with us on this Star Wars Day. So send me those emails and we will get those prizes off to you soon. And it might be if you go to the sqpn.com/merch, and if you want to let us know which logo you want, we can handle that for you too. But email me and we'll make that magic happen for you. So that
Thanks,
being
everyone.
said, thanks for joining us. Thank you so much for being with us in the midst of all the crazy technical difficulties. This was quite the event. I'm very happy that I'm very happy that Andrew's live from Batu was still able to happen and work
That was
very
awesome.
very well.
Went fine. Yeah.
So always enjoyable to celebrate Star Wars Day with you all. So thanks for joining us, and definitely for those of you who are listening on the podcast stream, which this is going to be on the podcast stream in a couple weeks, we would love to hear how you celebrated Star Wars Day and what Star Wars means to you. So please let us know your thoughts, your comments. You can email us at starwars@sqpn. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia, and you can find us on Twitter at SQPN. You can also join our Discord community by going to sqpn.com/Discord. And so we have a lot of fun over there talking about Star Wars all the time. And we would like to take a moment now to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the secrets of Star Wars, including Michael H., Dominic M., Martin C., Vicky W., and S.A. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Star Wars and all the shows at StarQuest. And if you would like to join them, please visit sqpn.com/give. We cannot do this without your support. So please, 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 if you'd like to join us in supporting SQPN, head on over to sqpn.com/give. Also, of course, if you're not subscribed, make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss a show, whether that's Apple Podcasts or Google Play, your favorite podcast player. Make sure that you're subscribed. And you can find all of our previous episodes by going to sqpn.com/Star Wars. And we will be back next week as we will be doing a very special episode because we are honored to have on the show John Jackson Miller. He is the author of a few Star Wars novels, including A New Dawn, and perhaps more prominently in the mind of the Star Wars culture, he is also the author of the Legends novel Kenobi. So we are going to have him on the show and interview him and talk things Star Wars and Kenobi and have a lot of fun with him, and that should be a great discussion. So please join us for that next time. And so until then, the Bendu, Angela, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you. It was fun to be in the middle of the chaos tonight with everybody.
Keeping the storm calm in my own heart. Old Ben, Mike Creevy, thanks for joining us as well.
See you next time.
And the Ronin, Thomas Sanherho, thanks for being on.
It was great. I enjoyed it.
And we can't have Andrew say anything since he's probably being bombarded by all the First Order troopers. So know that he sends his regards as well. So once again, I'm Father Andrew Kinstetter, Father Fett. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Star Wars on StarQuest. And all our watchers, again, thanks for joining us for this live broadcast.
Bye, everyone.
See you later.